Hi, welcome to Everbox Guitar Tuition. So I've got an unusual classic album inspection for you today. Not a great album, but an interesting one because it's a type of album where an artist is trying to fit in with the times that they're in. And it's Michael Schenker and the Macaulay Schenker Group album, Perfect Timing. So it was released October the 12th, 1987. He's 35 years old today. So basically, Michael Schenker had kind of wrapped up the original MSG, I think probably sometime early 84. They had a lot of debt, a lot of lineup changes, and things had gone wrong with their album Built to Destroy with a mix, and it just wasn't happening. So I guess he sort of licked his wounds and met up with and hooked up with Robin Macaulay because he wanted to find somebody he could have a 50-50 partnership with, and they renamed it the Macaulay Schenker Group. Robin Macaulay at this point was known for his stints in Grand Prix and with the Far Corporation with their cover of Stairway to Heaven. So I remember when this album came out, a couple of interesting things was Schenker had big hair extensions fitted. They'd signed with EMI, so he'd obviously Chrysalis, I think, was a division of EMI. So he'd kind of gone back sort of to his home where the original MSG was on. And there was obviously quite a bit of money put into it. They're obviously quite serious about it. It had a pretty cool album cover, just the two of them, but I like the way it's done. Good, it's got the classic MSG branding. I was looking on my notes here, and it was filmed at several studios, Puck Studios in Denmark. That might be familiar to people. I think Judas Priest recorded Ram It Down there, but don't quote me. Then a Scorpio Sound Studio M in Germany. Maybe that's to do with the Scorpions, I'm not sure. Could be Dear to Dirks. Sound City Studios and Baby O recorders in LA. So went to 4 studios. Andy Johns was producing. Who'd engineered and produced loads of albums. He was coming off the back of Night Songs by Cinderella, a big hit, triple platinum album. There's obviously been a fair amount of money spent on this. I mean, I would suspect at least $200,000, maybe more, maybe 300,000. Studios aren't cheap then. I suspect this was probably recorded and mixed over a 2 or 3 month period. But there was a kind of attempt by the record company, really. They did videos. Schenker was featured in Guitar World magazine. And at that time it was really kind of basically positioning Schenker as one of the founding fathers of like the modern shred, really, and the neoclassical style, which, although not as much as Uli John Roth, he is. And it was just about really getting that that respect of his influence, I think. So the lineup for this was Bodo Schopp on drums, I think that's how you pronounce it. Steve Mann, who later joined Fully, does keyboards on some tracks. But I have a guy called Mitch Perry in on second guitar and keyboards. He actually does 2 solos. He does the second solo on the first track, Give Me a Love, and he does the intro solo on track 6, Get Out, and he kind of does two-handed tapping and stuff. I suspect maybe the record company, the producer, thought that might be a good thing to put that in because two-handed tapping was very much in vogue at that point, and Schenker doesn't play like that. It did pretty well for them. It made number 95 in the Billboard chart. They had a minor hit with Love Is Not a Game, number 79, I think. It's a pretty good record. Let's go through the tracks. So it opens up with Give Me Your Love. This is undoubtedly one of the best tracks on it. This is actually written by Robbie Macaulay and the bass player Rocky Newton. It's not written by Schenker. All the other tracks are Robbie Macaulay and Schenker, apart from one co-write with a guy. Another guy called Alan Nelson on Love Is Not a Game. But this is a good track. It's typical of the time. It's pop metal, AOR. And that's the difference with this sound. MSG, originally a very, a typical sort of heavy rock band with some metal elements. There's no real metal elements on this. It's heavy rock, but with that pop influence and the AOR influence, which in a way is kind of going back to Schenker's roots with UFO, where some UFO ballading and melodic stuff is an influence on kind of British AOR. But Schenker's solo, I've got to say, doesn't really stand out on this track. Actually, Mitch Perry's does. It's pretty cool. And if I was to say about Michael's playing on this album, like, it's quite subdued. The solos are mixed slow. There's a lot of kind of delay on the solos, but there's a couple of zingers. But they seem to be focusing more on the songs. The solos are more concise. It's about getting kind of stuff that's going to get played on radio. But Give Me Your Love's a great track. It's got the typical bombastic drums of the time, but it's good. The rhythm guitar should be louder, but again, it's typical of what I call AOR type mixes, where the guitar's been kind of reduced in the mix and the kind of smoothness and polish in the vocals kind of the focus of attention again for the radio, So Give Me Your Love's great. And you got Here Today, Gone Tomorrow. This has got a nice sort of harmony guitar line that Schenker plays at the start. And this is another strong track. I think it's only about 4 minutes. Give Me Your Love's 4 minutes 52. So they're kind of tight arrangements. The whole album, in actual fact, hasn't got one track over 4 minutes. There's no 5-minute tracks. It's 42 minutes and 57 seconds long. So every track's about 4 minutes. So there's a focus on tight and concise arrangements. Then you got Don't Stop Me Now and No Time for Losers there, 3:56, 4:13. They don't stand out, these tracks, are not as strong as the previous two. And then the original side one finished with Follow the Night, which is 4 minutes 39. So this one's a little more, epic and feel. It's got a really good chorus, a good kind of verse. I think Macaulay's got the ability to pen good choruses. He writes good hooks, and there's good sort of layering of the backing vocals on the album. Again, probably sort of taking his cue from what Def Leppard had done on Pyromania. Any kind of hard rock, metal, if it's trying to get played on radio, the spectre of Pyromania is never far away at this point. Then side two opens with Get Out. That's a kind of pretty cool rocker. This is the one where the guitarist kind of push. You can hear like Schenker's guitar at the start, and it's really ripping with some like biting little pinch harmonics, which he starts to do around this time. He starts to get a bit more bite on his A string and stuff. But then when the other instruments come in, it sinks again. So you can hear like the sort of differentiation in when you can hear the guitar and how it is in the mix. Like I said, Mitch Perry does a little libra in the start and does some little two-handed tappings of Van Halen. It's cool. I don't know why I didn't stay in the band. I don't know if Steve Mann took over on the tour, but Steve Mann went full-time in the band on the next album, Save Yourself. Next track's Love Is Not a Game. So Sense had a co-write on it. It's a Gak and Alan Nelson. This is 4 minutes 12. This is a really good track. It's the best track on the album. It's totally designed to be a single, and it was nearly very successful for the band. Obviously, I said it made number 79. Give Me Your Love made number 40, but it said on the mainstream rock chart. So maybe, I'm not sure whether it's a Billboard or mainstream rock chart placings, but there was a video, it was a posh video, I think sort of black and white, colour, Schenker looking moody, it measured up to what you would expect for a band from that time. You can't fault EMI for their commitment to the cause on this album. And they went out with Whitesnake on the 87 tour, so it's a great pairing. People were, there's probably like the best sort of back Schenker was, I think, up until this point. I'm not sure who was managing him, but they obviously done a good job. I think he's got a great solo on this. This is his standout solo on this. He pulls off a beautiful melodic solo. You can hear the quality of his vibrato, and then he kind of dips into the neoclassical, sort of what's going on in guitar at that point of which he's an innovator. So he has a dead stop, and he does a kind of harmonic minor type tremolo pick run. A little bit Van Halen with the tremolo picking, but it sounds like Schenker. Good vocal harmonies, good vocal performance for Robin McAuley. I think sometimes we don't think or realise what a good singer Robin McAuley is, but he's got a very good voice. His voice is quite unique. It kind of stands alone. What I'm amazed is how good his voice sounds now. I mean, he's going on 68 or something, and I saw him live with Michael Schenker a few years ago, and he was the best singer on the night. He was the best frontman. In some ways, it's a shame Schenker didn't kind of bring him back. I feel this is overlooked, this era really of Schenker, but Robin McAuley could do a great job for Schenker. It's just one of those things. But Love's Not a Game is a really good track, and the next track, Time's very good. It's 4 minutes. Again, it's a little more epic in feel. There's some great kind of guitar from Mike. There's a lovely harmony solo on this. And this was transcribed in Guitarist magazine, a UK magazine at the time. So again, Schenker was getting, traction. With things like that, when guitarists are featured in magazines, it's not sort of, typically the guitar magazine's not like, oh, we must do a feature on Michael Schenker. He's got a new album. It's often the label and the publicity people. We have Michael Schenker, he's available for interviews and getting him out there. So it's got a really nice harmony parts on this, sort of classic. He just brings in that slide and does those lovely harmonised slide lines reminding us of classic UFO. Again, just a little swamped, I'm not against the delay and reverb, it just needs pushing up and drying off a little bit. Now you got I Don't Want to Lose. This has got quite an interesting rhythm on the verses, an interesting feel, but it's not the chorus isn't great, it's one of the weaker tracks. 4 minutes 15, and Rock Till You're Crazy. This is quite a cool ending track. It's just the lyrics are inane. It's kind of, we don't need nuclear weapons. We just need rock. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Schenker does some cool fills on it. The album's a 6 out of 10. I mean, on a good day it might be a 7. It's not a great record, but You know, after sort of everything that kind of happened with the Graham Bonnet issues on MSG and Gary Barnum coming back with the issues with the mix of Built to Destroy, and there was a Rock Will Never Die live album. You know, Schenker coming back and positioning himself in the middle of glam hair metal, not unsuccessfully. I mean, I think this was probably the best-selling MSG album at the time. It made number 95. It was probably could have sold a couple 100,000 copies. This is in the States. It wasn't as popular in Europe, but then again, I feel the Macaulay Schenker group was, they were sort of designing the thing where let's try and push this in America. Thinking about it, they went out with Whitesnake, and Whitesnake, you know, on EMI. I think they were on Geffen in America, weren't they? But, you know, maybe they had the feeling like, all right, we've got Michael Schenker teamed up the right guy, you know, maybe we can do what we're doing with Whitesnake. Whitesnake wasn't a hit at this point, or maybe it was a hit when this came out, but the Slide It In album had done pretty well. So maybe people at the label or management thought, you know, we just need to get the right people around Schenker. And they did a pretty good job. You know, they weren't way off the mark. It probably needed better songs overall. And it's just going into a very saturated market. In a couple of years' time, I'll look at the Save Yourself album, which is better. That's the best Macaulay Schenker group album. But like I said, it's not classic MSG, but it's good music, and Michael's still playing well, particularly on the next album. Okay, thanks for checking that out. 35 years old today, perfect timing by MSG, the Macaulay Schenker group. Thanks very much.